here is the example of why they said we have to go in and massacre these people. They're raping and pillaging our women and children. We must go in and do this. Oh, guess what? It didn't happen. But I could tell you who is doing it. The Israeli soldiers are doing it to the Palestinian women and children.
That's also happening. Been going on for years, though.
Yep.
Like that's a thing that's been going. I mean, yeah, ever since they've been arresting them.
And they haven't even, the New York Times, as of now, has not retracted the story.
No.
Why would they? They're the biggest supporter of war out of any major newspaper.
Yeah. And Joe Biden repeated it. Why would you take that shit down twice?
Right. Oh, man.
Ugh. Yeah. Gross.
But it's Trump's, but Trump is the reason why. The problem. And I even said, if you think that Donald Trump is a bigger problem in society than somebody like Bill Gates, than somebody like Jeff Bezos, than somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, go to sleep.
Yeah. You're Bill Gates is the scariest. Yeah. Bill Gates is the scariest.
I don't see Donald Trump.
And every time we talk about him, I want to get Vandana Shiva on to talk about Bill Gates.
And whatever amount of money Trump has, he doesn't have a fraction of the money that Bill Gates has.
He wishes he did.
That he can just go up and buy up hundreds of thousands of acres of fertile land.
This is a big problem. And I'd love to talk with her about it. I think she's in the UK. We could do, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
But this is.
Are you involved in that at all? Do you have any? I mean, the whole GMO seeds, Monsanto, Bill Gates buying up land, all of that. You know,
I'm not involved in that. No.
Yeah, yeah. That's a whole other shit show.
But this all correlates to this whole idea of how propaganda still has an immensely strong hold on a significant portion of people. I'm not done with that.
Okay.
Please don't do that.
But it's okay. Well, what are you?
So I want to scroll down on this a little bit if you can, Colin.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
The whole point is they pass these stories like they do the Gulf of Tonkin incident that started the Vietnam War. They did the same thing when they said that it was weapons of mass destruction and we have to go into Iraq. It's the same thing when you know that they were Osama bin Laden was planning an attack, and yet somehow they managed to ignore it. It's everything. It's all of these things. It's like Gaddafi trying to bring real democracy to Libya, and we certainly can't have that. It's all of these things that get interconnected. And now that we're 6 months in, 30 to 40,000, probably more, are dead, and hundreds of thousands more will die as a result of famine. Now they're releasing a story about, yeah, maybe that whole thing about rape and, you know, that was all kind of fabricated, you know. I don't know why people are so gullible, but I think that we're getting to a point where maybe it's not working as effectively as it once did.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All of those things.
The article, though, you were talking about it, but do we need to look at the article?
Well, I just thought it was of, you know, somewhat relevance here. I will pull it away.
It's not, I mean, we know that they lied, and we know that we all know that, you know, like we all know that. And I know personally that everything that Israel accuses Hamas of doing is what they've always done.
Every accusation is a confession.
I was somebody that I consider myself used as a tool of ethnic cleansing and used as a human shield when I was in high school and went to a program there called Alexander Muss High School in Israel, which when I was growing up, everyone here did that. It's like JNF brainwashing, you know, 101. And they would always have us traveling around with soldiers that had assault rifles.
Yeah.
Which as teenagers, we thought was cool because we're stupid and I didn't know. Right. But then now as a parent, I'm thinking, if you're taking my kids somewhere where you think that is necessary, you're probably somewhere you ought not be. And that's probably not a safe place for them to be. And then they would have us planting trees in places that we ought not be planting trees. Again, I didn't know. Right. And I still feel like I will atone for the rest of my life for this. I have a lot of anger about it, but I didn't know this. We were told there was no one there.
Right.
You know, I mean, like, it wasn't like I could Google it. That's what's so frustrating. But now I look at every single person in Congress, and I've said this repeatedly, at this point, if you don't acknowledge the Nakba, if you don't acknowledge the occupation, if you do not acknowledge what is going on, you are either willfully ignorant or lying. It is only one of those two things. I have said it repeatedly. And at this point, there's just no excuse.
I agree.
Saira, before you go, what would you say is, if you want to call it a prediction, how do you see this unfolding over the next several months, if it in any way, shape, or form could potentially lead to something positive regarding the people of Gaza and what we could continue to do Obviously, Jen will use her platform, especially as a congressional candidate and potentially, knock on wood, as a congressional representative, to draw as much attention to this as humanly possible and potentially turn the tide, even though one person can't do it.
No, but I am a loud bitch.
Would appear to be.
But I am.
I think that a lot more Palestinians are going to die. A lot of Lebanese people are going to die. A lot of Syrian people are going to die. Continuing Sudan, Congo, Tigray, India.
I was going to say, let's add Iraqi in there. And at some point, you're going to throw in Iran and the Turks because you're starting to piss them off too.
All of it. But if we just care about America because of American exceptionalism, America is going to devolve. It already has. It's going to continue to devolve into mass violence. Things are going to get really, really violent here. Back to the Second Amendment, there are way more guns than people.
Yep.
And so this whole, like, everyone's going to be shooting each other. It's already happening. It's going to get much, much, much worse until it either literally humans sink to the bottom of the ocean, or we have a very different, wonderful future. It's not going to stay in this chemical imbalance, which is where we are right now. It's going to either be over, or it's going to be so different and wonderful in a way that none of us have ever seen before.
Or let me throw this at you. Some of us will be under the water, specifically Florida, south of Lake Okeechobee. And some of us can still be having a nice world in a degrowth, sustainable, regenerative environment in other parts that are not underwater. Like that's, so I sort of envision both things being true.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Underwater, burned to the ground. You know, it's bad news.